I want to tell you a story today about a little girl. Extremely good looking, so smart, talented, it's me. But this little girl is a hot mess on the inside. One of those people, have you ever seen somebody on the street, you're like, they've got it together. They've got their family life together, they're working, whatever. Well, me as a child didn't have it together, but I learned from a very young age, you gotta put on, as someone said previously, that mask. You gotta walk that line and make everybody think you're okay. Case in point, who in here remembers their kindergarten teacher? Okay, I personally was in love with mine. Her name was Miss Moore. She wore sash shoes that were navy blue, and I used to call them orthopedic Nikes. I didn't care about the shoes. She was so kind and so sweet. But I can remember the moment into kindergarten when it dawned on me, I've got to be able to pay my taxes. I'm a 5-year-old child, people. And from that point, the anxiety started to grow. Okay, I gotta pay taxes. I gotta drive a car. Oh my God, I've got to parallel park. And then the one big thing that was the defining moment for me was, I've got to be able to tell time on a clock with hands. Okay? So I freaked out about this. This is the turmoil that's inside of me. People are on the playground, pushing people down, you know, the things that you do as a kid, learning your ABCs, getting excited about Christmas parties at school, and I'm worried about taxes. So what happens to a little girl? When does this snap in her where she's so concerned about what people think or how they see and interpret her that she spends her days not out on the playground, but in the classroom studying a little watch that her mom got from her at Bacon's in Shively that had a little cheat sheet on the face of it. I meant to bring it to show it to y'all, but you get the picture. I still have it. Worried that I wouldn't get that minute hand quite right. Well, we got to start from the beginning. I come from a biracial family. Everybody's like, oh, well, that's so great, you're so pretty, but I'd like, no, let me tell you how it is. I'm different. When my parents got married, they each had 2 children from previous relationships. So I have 2 white siblings and 2 black siblings, and they call me the milk chocolate one. All right? I grew up outside of Fort Knox and Radcliffe, so being in a mixed family really wasn't a big deal at that point. However, when my parents got married, my mother's family disowned us. All right? My mother, who'd never been out of the state of Kentucky, married a little short black man, had an Insta family, and was immediately moved to Berlin, Germany, where she found out she was pregnant. You know what? If I'm 1/8 that strong, I'll be all right. Okay? So, thank you. So, from a very young age, people are telling my parents, that child's not gonna make it. She's not gonna fit in anywhere. People are gonna be looking at her, things aren't gonna be right. My mother said she just prayed and prayed I wouldn't be born with red hair. I don't know why. I wasn't. So I grew up in a very conscious knowing from how my own family treated us that what you did and how people perceive you ended up being a direct reflection on the relevance and the validity of your entire family life. This was not pressure that was put on me by my parents, mind you, to their credit. They did their best to shelter us from that. This was pressure that I put on myself. And as a child, sometimes we forget that kids are perceptive and can recognize things. But as a child, I did. So I knew I had to pay those taxes and pay them well so everybody would think that my mom and dad were okay, right? Well, we come back from Germany, and my great-grandmother told my mother she wouldn't die until she saw me as a baby. So we go and visit her, and I remember this. I have this strange memory. I can't tell you what I did 5 minutes ago, but I can remember what I did when I was 4. She had a bird, a blackbird that would talk, and I can remember playing with this bird. She died 2 weeks later. So there too, interpreted in my child mind is people are waiting on you, people are watching you, do your best, be the best. And these kinds of messages always get reinforced. So when it came, puberty and everybody's dating and doing all that fun stuff in high school, I just shoved my face into a book on purpose. I wanted nothing to do with any of all that stuff. I had plans, I had places to go, I had to get a scholarship, people were paying attention to what I was doing, what I was saying, all of those things were very, very important. Case in point, here I am, I went to North Hardin High School. Any Radcliffe kids in here? Good for you. So I went to North Hardin, which was at the time the largest high school in the state of Kentucky. So, almost 3,000 students, almost 50% mixed, and I'm the only brown dot in the AP classes. That's tremendous pressure, people, because whether or not you acknowledge it or not, people see you when you walk in the room. And then they don't think that you are supposed to be there. So life was a little bit different for me. So when all the emotional stuff started coming out and I started saying, well, maybe I don't really want a boyfriend, all hell broke loose at that point, because I had this mask. I had to toe this line and walk this line, because not only was I carrying my weight, my own weight, but the weight of everybody that I loved. And I say it to their credit again, not because they asked me to, but because I felt that I needed to. It was a hard, hard time. So when we talk about coming out stories and all these wonderful things that people are talking about so far, everybody does it in their own time. I was very, very late. I think I was 28 when we had the knockdown drag out with my family. And the funny thing is it started out because my mom saw a tattoo peeking over my granny gown at the breakfast table. And I remember the look on my father's face going, oh, girl. And it just kind of deteriorated from there. Because when you get in some of those screaming matches with your family, you just dump all that stuff that you've been holding. I mean, it's like a Lifetime movie, right? But it's not so entertaining when it's your life in your lifetime. So that was a really hard process for me. But as I've gotten older, another hard process, and I never expected this whatsoever, never. But being in the queer community here in Louisville and coming to the conclusion that, maybe I will date some men. I have no earthly idea how, but I will. Do they pay for things? Because, a girl's got to eat, right? So I said, maybe I'll do it. Now I'm in my mid-30s at this point, and I received the same kind of criticism and backlash from my people in the queer community that I did from my family. And I never saw that coming, ever. So here I am again thinking, I'm in this great community, I don't have to walk any line, this is what I want to do, this is who I want to be, and then boom, smack right in the face with, you can't do that. Or we'd had dinner and my closest boyfriends would say, well, I don't really think Scheri's gay, I don't really think she's going to end up with a woman. I'm in the room. I'm like, rude, can't you wait till I leave like everybody else? Don't act like you don't do it, I know you do. So that was a really hard transition. Not only putting yourself out there again for the people that you love the most, showing your real face, and being criticized for it because it doesn't fit in a box that they created for you. Same stuff, me being a little girl, trying to fit into a box that somebody else created. This is an ongoing mental process for me. So when they asked me if I wanted to do this tonight, I said, I will never pass up free therapy. Never. Okay. So, what do I do? If I wanted to date a boy, how do I do it? So, like some of my esteemed colleagues here, I took to the internet. And yes, I say internet. And I had no idea how it worked. So I got on another classy app called Tinder. And let me tell you, I've collected so much good stuff for a book that you would not believe. I was telling a friend of mine the other day, the fetish appears to be a thing, like a real thing. Initial message, I just want to rub essential oils on your feet. Can I get a dinner? Or a phenomenon of having a man ask me to marry him for a green card. Point blank, outright. I mean, people, I cannot make this stuff up. It is fantastic, it's funny, it's tragic, but you know, at the same time, it's my experience. And I've worked a very, very long time to be okay without walking that line for somebody else. So here I am, almost a 40-year-old woman. Yes, I know, I look fantastic. And you know, I kind of wish my voice was as sexy all the time. But here I am, still going through the process, still developing, still learning, still growing, but being able, and I want to thank you all too, being able to share that experience, I think is important. Also, being the only person of color and female in the lineup, I think is important. Okay? So, to wrap it up, the point is, your takeaway from today, and from me being funny and wearing this fabulous sparkly shirt from the 1970s, thank you. Take off the mask. Step off that line. Yeah, initially it might hurt, initially, but life is so much more genuine and great when you do. And then you don't have to remember what lie you told what person, because that is terrible, because I always forget. So just be who you are. And if who you are changes, embrace that too, because that's just the human condition, right? All right, thank you all.